There are times to focus on what you want, and there are times to relax and allow what you've focused upon before to come into your experience. And this is why we are making this important distinction. And it's at the root of your question, so the answer will make a lot of sense to you once we tell you this very short thing. As you pointed out, there are so many options of wonderful things that you could be the creator of. Unlimited. And we can understand how, when you look at it conceptually, that it could feel overwhelming. However, you don't have access to all of those things, nor would you want to anyway. So let's say that your life has helped you to focus on something. Maybe it's money, maybe it's a vehicle, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's an improvement in something. Doesn't matter what the subject is, but the subject, every subject, is the subject of what is wanted and the subject of the absence of it. There's a range between having it and not having it that you could be in vibrational alignment with. You might feel sort of prosperous, but you might worry about money too. So you're sort of back and forth on that subject. So in any moment in time when you focus on something, we like to call your attention to it by saying you've picked up the stick of that subject. And on one end of it is what you want, and on the other end of it is the absence of what you want. And the question is, what's your emotional state of being? What's your vibrational point of attraction when you've picked the stick up? Because when you pick the stick up, when you're focused upon it, that's your point of attraction. So let's say it's about money, just for fun, because that's often something that people are wanting and worrying about. So let's say you've picked up the stick called money, and you're pondering it, but you're under the influence of something that just happened, which is bills came that you can't pay, or someone close to you wants something from you financially that you can't afford. And so what's activated within you is a clear feeling of lack of money, and the way you are feeling right now is worried or pensive or even angry or guilty or blameful or resentful. In other words, you've got some of these emotions that are within you now that you've got the stick in your hand. Under those conditions, what we were talking about earlier, you're flowing a vibrational resistant pattern outward. And even though your vortex has been gathering the cooperative components, they can't get to you because your output is whatever you're under the influence of. So the answer, such an important answer to deliberate creation, is be aware of whether you're under the influence of your problem or whether you're under the influence of your solution. You can't be needing something and letting it in at the same time. That does not go together. Here's the thing. You can't let what others are doing be your reason for not feeling appreciated or feeling appreciated. You can't be conditional in it. You've got to get out ahead of it. Because if you're having a knee-jerk reaction to what is, then more of the same of what is what's going to come to you, because you're not going to let anything other than the knee-jerk reaction to what is in. Does that make sense to you? Whatever it is that you're feeling is the indicator of the wall that you've got up or the openness that you have. If you're feeling wonderful, then you're open and more wonderful on all subjects is being allowed into you. But if you're feeling disenfranchised or disadvantaged or not respected or taken advantage of in some way, then that's your vibrational output, and that's affecting everything else that you let in. And none of this has anything to do with the others who are out there interacting with you. It's all you. Now, Esther might say, oh, that doesn't seem fair. Doesn't seem like it's all me because I was reacting to other things. We say, therein lies your problem. Letting others control what you're letting in by your isolated moment in time. Picking something that feels bad and then being unhappy that something that feels good can't get in through your spewing of what feels bad. It's attraction, it's attraction, it's attraction. So what is the remedy? Well, for a while we've been teaching you, reach for a thought that feels better. But there's a law of attraction momentum going on that won't let you find a thought that feels better when you're under the influence of something that doesn't feel good. Doesn't that make sense to you? When you try to focus on that subject, you just get more resentful and more unhappy about it as you focus more about it. And so what we're suggesting is something that we're calling getting out ahead of it. And what we mean by that is practicing a vibration of letting it in. When you're in a place that it's easy to practice the vibration of letting it in, until you get so good of being in the place of letting it in that even when somebody's behaving in a way that you usually wouldn't let it in, you're so practiced at letting it in that you don't stop letting it in because you're having a knee-jerk reaction to something that's going on. You're so practiced at knowing your well-being. You're so practiced at feeling blessed that when somebody who, for whatever reason, doesn't feel blessed themselves and so they're acting wonky around you, you don't have a knee-jerk reaction to their wonkiness because you're steady in your knowing that you are blessed. Does that make sense? So the two ways of going about that, meditation is the best way we know, because when you quiet your mind, you stop all that wonkiness. When you quiet your mind, you stop thought. When you stop thought, you stop resistance. When you stop resistance, you're under the influence of your source energy. And when you're under the influence of your source energy, the world is brighter, the world is nicer, the world treats you better, and you treat the world better. Under that influence, things go well for you. So when you quiet your mind, you stop doing those reactionary things, those knee-jerk response things. So flying in yesterday, Esther came from San Diego. It was a long flight, and she was flying Southwest, which she really likes, the dependability of it, the sureness of it, the convenience of it for her. And when they landed in Boston, they were 25 minutes early. But the gate was still being occupied by whoever was there before, so the plane sat on the tarmac, which was fine. She thought to herself, doesn't matter if I'm in the air or sitting on the ground. We're early, so she was focusing herself into a place of feeling good. And then the man behind her, because she had not noticed all through the flight, began to feel fitful. And he was a large person, and his knees apparently had been touching her seat the whole time. She was just not aware of it. And he began bouncing his legs in a sort of nervous disorder. And as he bounced his legs with his knees against her seat was vibrating pretty well, so much so that she couldn't play her word game because she couldn't quite touch the spot she meant to touch on her word game. And so the first minute or two, she pretended it was a massage and tried to make the best of it. And then she put her word game away because it was not possible to play the word game. And so she sat there under that, and then she thought, I wish his knees would stop jerking. And then she thought,